What if the biggest health lie of the last 50 years isn't about sugar or salt or even carbs? What if it's about the one thing we've all been taught to fear? Fat. For decades, we've been trained to see low fat on a box and think, oh, that's the healthy choice. We've been told that fat is the enemy, a one-way ticket to weight gain and heart disease. But what if that advice, the myth that launched a billion-dollar industry of fat-free everything, was fundamentally wrong? What if avoiding fat isn't making you healthier? What if it's secretly harming your body, starving it of a nutrient so vital that your brain, your hormones, and your very cells can't function properly without it? Today, we're tearing down that lie. The truth is, there isn't just one villain named fat. There is a hero and a villain in this story, and mixing them up might be one of the biggest health mistakes you can make. Stick around, and you'll understand how one type of fat builds a vibrant, healthy body, while another silently drives disease from the inside out. To figure out how we got here, we have to rewind to the 1950s. Heart disease was on the rise, and people were scared and looking for answers. Into this scene stepped a physiologist named Ancel Keys, who launched the ambitious 7-country study. It examined the link between diet and heart disease across the globe, and its conclusions seemed crystal clear. Populations that ate diets high in saturated fat had higher rates of heart disease. This idea, the diet heart hypothesis, was simple and powerful. Eat fat, clog arteries, get heart disease. Keys became a powerful voice at the American Heart Association, and in 1961, the AHA released its first ever guidelines targeting saturated fat. That was the spark. The message from doctors, governments, and the media became one simple command: cut the fat. Food manufacturers, never once to miss an opportunity, flooded grocery stores with low-fat and fat-free products. We dutifully swapped butter for margarine, whole milk for skim, and bought snacks that proudly screamed 0% fat on the label. The low-fat lifestyle had taken over. But there was a huge problem. In our rush to get rid of fat, we forgot to ask two things. Are all fats the same? And when you take the fat out, what are you putting back in to make the food actually taste good? The answer was often sugar and refined carbs, which created a whole new storm of health issues. Decades later, Keys' work has come under heavy scrutiny. Critics point out that the study had methodological limitations and that its selection of countries wasn't globally representative, leading to accusations of bias. The very foundation of the low-fat movement, it turns out, was built on some pretty shaky ground. All right, let's clear up the confusion. Fat isn't one single thing. It's a diverse family of molecules, and what they do in your body can be wildly different. Think of it as a family with some real heroes and a couple of serious villains. The main characters here are saturated fats, trans fats, and unsaturated fats. First, let's meet the villains. Saturated fats are the ones that are usually solid at room temperature. We're talking about butter, the fat in red meat, cheese, and tropical oils like coconut and palm oil. For years, these were public enemy number one, the fats Ancel Keys warned us about. The main charge against them is that they can raise your LDL cholesterol, often called the bad cholesterol. Then there's the undisputed archvillain, trans fats. Of all the fats, this is the absolute worst for your health. Most of it is man-made through a process called hydrogenation, which turns liquid oils into solid fats to make foods last longer on the shelf. These artificial trans fats used to be in everything: margarine, shortening, packaged pastries, and fried foods. They are so clearly harmful that many governments have now banned them. Why? Because trans fats do two terrible things at once. They jack up your bad LDL cholesterol while actively lowering your good HDL cholesterol. Now, for the hero of our story, unsaturated fats. These are the fats that are typically liquid at room temperature. You'll find them in olive oil, avocados, nuts, seeds, and fatty fish like salmon. And these fats aren't just not bad. They are actively, powerfully good for you. They're essential. Unsaturated fats come in two main types: monounsaturated and polyunsaturated. Monounsaturated fats, MUFAs, are stars in olive oil, peanut oil, and avocados. Polyunsaturated fats, PUFAs, include the famous omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids found in fatty fish, walnuts, and flax seeds. Here's the kicker: your body can't make certain polyunsaturated fats on its own. You have to get them from food. Understanding this basic difference between the good guys and the bad guys is the first step to taking back your health. When you eat unhealthy fats, you're not just taking in calories. You're unleashing substances that can trigger a domino effect of damage inside your body. Let's start with trans fats. The World Health Organization estimates that industrially produced trans fats contribute to around 500,000 deaths from coronary heart disease worldwide each year. They have zero known health benefits. Some analyses have shown that high trans fat intake is associated with a significantly increased risk of death from any cause, especially heart disease. They work by gumming up your arteries, raising bad cholesterol, and taking out the good cholesterol that's supposed to help clear the gunk out. This sends your risk for heart disease and stroke through the roof. Now for the more complicated villain, saturated fat. For decades, the story was simple. Saturated fat raises your LDL cholesterol, and high LDL is bad for your heart. And it's true. Dietary patterns high in some saturated fats, especially from processed sources, are often linked to inflammation and other risk factors for heart disease. Because of this, major health organizations still recommend limiting saturated fat to less than 10% of your daily calories. However, the science is evolving. Recent analyses have started to question just how bad saturated fat is on its own. Some have found that simply cutting saturated fat doesn't do much for reducing heart disease or mortality unless you replace it with something better. The real magic happens when you swap out saturated fats for polyunsaturated fats. That's when studies show a clear drop in cardiovascular risk. This has sparked a huge debate, but it highlights a critical point. The enemy isn't one single nutrient, but the overall quality of your diet. So let's talk about the good guys, unsaturated fats. These aren't just sitting on the sidelines. They are biological powerhouses. When you replace saturated fats with unsaturated fats, especially the polyunsaturated kind, you can significantly lower your risk of heart disease. Both mono and polyunsaturated fats help bring down those bad LDL cholesterol levels, which is key to keeping your arteries clear. But their job doesn't stop there. Unsaturated fats provide the literal building blocks for your body's cells. They are absolutely vital for brain development and function. They help cool down inflammation, which is a key driver of almost every chronic disease. Omega-3 South, found in fatty fish, are famous for their ability to lower triglycerides and reduce blood pressure. Plus, oils rich in monounsaturated fats, like olive oil, come packed with vitamin E, a potent antioxidant that protects your cells from damage. Diets built around these healthy fats, like the Mediterranean diet, are consistently linked to longer, healthier lives. So while the low-fat craze made us fear all oils, the science is clear. Choosing oils like olive, canola, and sunflower is one of the best things you can do for your heart. The goal isn't to go low-fat, it's to go right fat. You can't talk about fat these days without someone bringing up coconut oil. It's been called everything from a miracle superfood to a tub of artery-clogging poison. So, what's the deal? Coconut oil is about 92% saturated fat. That's more than butter. And yes, it does raise LDL, the bad cholesterol. For that reason, the American Heart Association and other groups advise against using it as your primary fat if you're concerned about heart health. But the story is a little more complex. A lot of the saturated fat in coconut oil is lauric acid. Chemically, it's not a true medium-chain triglyceride, MCT, but it has properties somewhere between medium-chain and long-chain fats. This means it's metabolized a bit differently. Some studies show that while it raises bad LDL, it also gives a nice boost to good HDL cholesterol, which might offset some of the risk. Here's the bottom line from most health experts. While coconut oil might be a better choice than butter, it doesn't have the proven heart-healthy benefits of unsaturated plant oils like olive oil. The research on its long-term effects is still pretty thin. So, feel free to use it here and there for its unique flavor, but don't make it your everyday go-to. The evidence still overwhelmingly points to unsaturated fats as the champions for your heart. So, how do you actually use this information without carrying a calculator everywhere? It's simpler than you think. Forget about counting grams. Just focus on the quality of the fats you eat and make a few simple, powerful swaps. First, know your enemy. Try to limit red and processed meats, poultry skin, and full-fat dairy like butter and cheese. And always be on the lookout for hidden trans fats by checking labels for partially hydrogenated oils, especially in packaged snacks and frozen foods. Second, and this is the most important part, actively welcome healthy fats into your life. Make olive oil your main cooking oil. Snack on a handful of nuts instead of chips. Slice up an avocado for your toast or salad. Try to eat fatty fish like salmon or sardines twice a week to load up on those amazing omega-3s south. Think of it as a simple upgrade. Instead of butter, saute your veggies in olive oil. Instead of a creamy, cheese-based dressing, try a vinaigrette. Instead of reaching for cookies, grab a handful of almonds. Instead of a fatty steak, go for grilled salmon. When you focus on adding these nutrient-packed healthy fats, you naturally push the less healthy ones out. This isn't about deprivation. It's about upgrading your body's fuel source. If this breakdown helped clear up the fat confusion for you, hit that subscribe button for more health truths. And let me know in the comments, what's one healthy fat swap you're going to try this week? For half a century, we've been running from a shadow. The fear of fat pushed us into a world of processed, low-fat, high-sugar foods that may have made our health crises even worse. The truth is, your body desperately needs fat. It's essential for energy, for absorbing vitamins, for building every cell in your body, and for keeping your hormones in balance. The war should never have been against fat, but against the wrong kind of fat. By finally understanding the difference between the artery-harming trans fats and the life-giving unsaturated fats, you get to take the driver's seat. You stop being a victim of outdated advice and become the architect of your own health. The goal isn't a low-fat life. It's a right fat life, one where you choose the foods that nourish, protect, and build a stronger, healthier you from the inside out.